Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. First off, we'll try to fix the sound. Just the levels a little bit. And I made a bit of a boo-boo again and didn't record the voice, so I've added the voice in retroactively. So it might be a bit weird. I'll try to do my best. Right now I'm adjusting the sound levels to be a bit more sensible, because especially the music is so loud in this game. As you can see, I eventually managed to get the sound down to a recent level. And click that window away again, and then we continue, because we were going to launch a rocket this time. And we will. Jeb's ambitions will be fulfilled. Jeb will become a speed demon. Yes. Loading in the Morbid speed demon. As you can see, we finished it last time. We increased the fins a little bit and check our staging to make sure nothing terrible will happen the moment we launch. We check if the pilot is in there, and we are ready to launch. Or not. Oh yes, that's right, we need to throw off the launch clamps and not take those with us. See, easy mistake to make there. Good. Then we'll knock off the boosters and fire the first liquid engine. And we were wondering if you could put some nose cones on there, but unfortunately we can't, because we're maxed out on the amount of parts we can put on this thing. By default, in the first stage of your VAB, you can only put on 30 parts. So unfortunately, we can't even put on nose cones. We're completely maxed out. Save again and we launch the vessel. Running some final checks before launch. Trying to see if we can do some science. The moon is over there. And I'm making a point here that it's not pronounced moon with two O's, but with an U. Or an U umlaut, as in moon, as some people prefer it. See, it's pronounced moon. And eventually we will go to get there, but not now. We first have to satisfy Jeb's thirst for speed. And we will launch off in a burst of flame. We immediately tilt sideways to get into a more horizontal trajectory. Really picking up speed. Things are going nominal. Jeb's waving his arms in pleasure as he flies up. We knock off the boosters and then fire the liquid fueled engine. Keep accelerating. And at this point we find out we're going a bit too steep and are trying to level off horizontally. Fortunately, it doesn't really work. We get up really high, and right now we're past the area we need to be. And in fact we're going so fast that shock heating is occurring around the rocket. First stage burns out and we end up in a trajectory which is way too high. And we figure that we can probably do the test when we're falling down and focus on getting some science from the upper atmosphere. Because we are now flying past the edge of space. And there's some interesting science to be had there. As you can see, yep, higher and higher. and the atmosphere is thin enough that we can jump off without really being blown off the rocket. Grab the science and quickly get back inside the rocket. Because as the report points out, you feel like you really should be getting back into the ship. Yes you should, Jep. Yes you should. It's dangerous out there. You're going well over 3,000 kilometers an hour. Flying through the atmosphere. You should be inside your ship. As you can see, we're starting to drop down, and we knock off the first stage because we don't need it anymore. Open up the contract to make sure we are in the right parameters before we run the test. And by this time I realized we have a run test box, which makes things a hell of a lot easier to run the test, because we wouldn't have needed to drag a second engine with us. We could have used that massive stack of fuel and engine to simply do the thing, get up to speed, and then run the test, and not having to bother with firing a second engine at that specific point. So we'll pick up speed, and we're getting ready to fire the engine if we need to keep speeding up. Because we might slow down enough that we won't get to the contract. And we are flying sideways, which is a big mistake, as you will soon see. Because the mass of the engine on the back is making the ship very unstable. And it immediately starts tipping over the moment we hit the atmosphere. We fire the engine to try to correct, but it's not working. All that it's doing is allowing us to not go into complete spin. The engine burns out and we decide to ditch it. We check to see if we get some new science, but unfortunately we can't. Because we have already been in the upper atmosphere. We're still in there, in fact. We're going back up again. And I tried to fire up time warp, but because the plugin is a bit weirdly configured, we first go into this window. And find out which slider we need to push in order to get to speed up time a few times, because we don't want to wait all the while for it to fall back down. And as you can see, we're now speeding up time, going a little faster, waiting before we really start falling back again. And we angle the spacecraft backwards, so we slow down. So we act as a very aerodynamic brick instead of a pointy brick, because the spacecraft is a brick, and it will fall like a brick. But if we're a very blunt brick, we won't fall as fast. And this is the view Jep is getting from his window, which is pretty amazing. As we're falling down some clouds. Unfortunately, we kind of failed, and the spacecraft is tipping forward. And we're really picking up some speed, and we're still going supersonic at this point. So we try to nudge the spacecraft into supersonic flight, so we can fire the parachute and slow down more. We get the crew reports, we get some more thermometer data, and the parachute deploys and fly over the ocean. A lovely view of the sun. As for descending, Jep runs out and sticks his head outside of the capsule as we watch the capsule slowly drift downwards. we might want to get the data inside the capsule before we touch down. And consider sending Jeb back out again. Have a great look at the sun again, because it's a very beautiful picture. Yes. Well, we sort of forgot. I sort of forgot at this point. I already had the science, so I just spend science again, grab everything from the outside, and go back in. Because I want to make sure I have that science before I touch down. And we finally touched down. And because the decoupler is still attached, we can now run our contract mission. And we briefly consider if Jeb can grab the decoupler before it sinks down and put it inside his inventory to sink him down and bring him to the bottom of the ocean. But ultimately we figure that the decoupler is probably way too big. Jeb can only carry 300 liters in his tiny inventory. So we decide not to and just get back into the rocket. We're getting ready to fire the decoupler and... Here we go. The decoupler slowly sinks down. And as we can see, our contract is complete. So the mission was at least a partial success. And Jeb sure had a lot of fun doing it. We watch the decoupler sink down a bit more and... I'm probably pointing out something here, but I have no idea what it was. Probably that Jeb has some kind of ambition for speed and that we need to fulfill it. And that will call it a day for this mission and recover the vessel. Alright. We check out if we combine this contract with any other contracts and figure we probably can't. Look at this a heat shield contract, which we could test on the launch site, but we're like, meh. Then we go to see if we can buy some new technology. We look at buying bigger rockets, because it would theoretically allow us to buy the launch clamps after this, because we have enough science left to do that. But we decide, we briefly consider building a plane to go up to those speeds, but we decide not to. And eventually we decide to just go for the science, so we can more easily unlock those other nodes. Tech node also unlocks probes, so we could send an unmanned mission after this. Perhaps a Sputnik mission. And we laugh a bit at the debris that's still laying out there from our previous mission. We look into finding some missions which we can combine with this mission, and we can't really find any. Think about what we might do, and eventually we decide to escape the atmosphere, because we might go into a very high arc and drop down hard and quick. And we would want to have the contract then. So we look into upgrading some things and realize we don't really need it. We don't need 140 ton capacity for a launch pad. Alright, I think I'll end the video right here. Next time we will build a new rocket, which will hopefully fulfill Jep's desire for speed. Thank you for watching, and until next time.